So as we discussed in the first video, stress keeps people overweight via two primary mechanisms, physiological and psychological. Now, there's a number of different things that will contribute to stress, and your body will mount a stress response in response to any form of stress, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, chemical, biological, is in the sense of illness, for example. But there are some of the most common sources of stress are things like really long working hours, very busy, non-stop, stressful lifestyles that a lot of people tend to have these days. But also things like time management and productivity as well. You can have two people, one of them is really poor at managing their time and being productive, and the other person is extremely efficient, very effective, very productive, very focused, and manages their time very effectively. This second person is going to experience significantly less stress in their life for the same degree of workload. So that's something else that will contribute. But what we actually find as the number one primary problematic area when it comes to stress is mindset. Now, let me explain that a little bit further. So we can have two people who are working long hours. Who is the most likely person to experience burnout? What we find is that people who experience burnout generally are in jobs or careers where they don't like what they do. There's significant elements of their job that feel out of their control, or they're not enjoying their job. But you can have somebody else who, let's say they're an entrepreneur who has found their true calling in life. They have a real passion and a real sense of purpose for what they do, and they wake up excited every day about their job, and they're putting in 13, 14, 15, 16-hour days at times, consistently most days, and they don't reach burnout. Why? Well, because most of the time they're in states and feelings and emotions that are uplifting, that are life-enhancing emotions, and they're excited for what they've got to do during the day. And inevitably there are things that they don't like, and there are some sources of psychological stress, but for the most part, the majority of their day is filled with passion and enthusiasm and excitement and so on. So it's actually the mindset that contributes much more significantly to the overall experience of stress that people have. Now, if we put on top of that other habits and psychological behaviors that people have learnt, like perfectionism, overwhelm, overanalyzing, anxiety, low self-esteem, poor body image, being a people pleaser where they don't have enough confidence to say no and they're taking on too much work. All of these things are significantly contributing to the amount of stress that people have on a daily basis. And if you yourself or you know somebody who has experienced one of those, let's take low self-esteem as an example. You know how stressed they are. A significant portion of their day is spent in upsetting feelings and emotions, and they get to the end of the day and they just feel the weight of the world on their shoulders because of the way that they feel about things. So mindset is one of the biggest contributing factors to stress, which in turn is keeping people overweight via those two mechanisms we discussed, physiological and psychological. So over the course of the next few videos, we're going to discuss some of these primary sources of stress, the mindset sources of stress, and how they work and what you can do to change them.